Am I the a-hole? Fiancés edition. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister's fiancé about her spicy past? My sister, 30, is engaged to a guy, 33, let's call him Josh. Josh is a very well-established guy, very nice to my sister and our family. He does a lot for us. Josh and my sister announced their engagement a couple of months ago at a family dinner. Obviously, everyone celebrates the news and has a great night. Except for me. I took my sister aside later in the night and asked her if she had told him about her past. My sister went through an extremely sex-positive phase in college and slept with easily over 100 guys. She said it didn't matter, it was the past, etc. Fair enough, it shouldn't matter, but I think Josh deserves to know this before he marries my sister. Not every man is comfortable with marrying someone with such an extensive list of past sexual partners. So anyway, I tell her if she doesn't tell him, I will. I give her a month. She doesn't tell him. Meanwhile, they're going full steam ahead planning the wedding. I give her one last chance, a few more weeks to come clean. She doesn't. So I told Josh all I knew about her sexual past. He thanks me, but doesn't take the news well. Apparently, my sister had been presenting herself as a sexually shy kind of girl. She lied and said he was her third sexual partner. So what I told him completely blindsided him. He's put the wedding on hold and hasn't spoken to my sister for several days. Says he needs time alone to think. As you can imagine, everyone in my family is blaming me for ruining my sister's wedding. Which I guess I kind of did. Josh's family is kind of neutral, though. They're obviously offering Josh emotional support and thanking me for my honesty. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Comment 1. People grow up and they change. Why are you bringing up her college days? Almost every single person did something stupid in college. Why bring that up to ruin her life now? If she's STI-free, why does it matter how many people she's slept with? As for the sexually shy comment, it happens. People can get shy during sex, even after multiple partners. Grow the F up. Comment 2. You're the a-hole. It was not your place to tell him. You had no right. Seems to me you're a little jealous of your sister getting married, and maybe have a crush on Josh. Comment 3. You're the a-hole. Big time. You just catapulted yourself into someone else's relationship. If your sister didn't want to tell this Josh guy her past, that's on her and up to her. It was the past. It's in the past. If she isn't like that now, it really shouldn't matter to him or you. Plus, it sounds like your sister has finally found someone that she wants to be with. You've jeopardized that. You've put the happiness of 2 people at risk for I don't know what. What was your end goal here? To give Josh the full picture? Not your responsibility. You're the a-hole. I hope your sister can forgive you. Update. Okay, I'm the a-hole. I accept that. However, I have seen no convincing arguments about why Josh didn't deserve to know before getting married, and everyone here has just disregarded his feelings out of hatred for my actions. Given that, I don't regret my actions, and will do it again if she doesn't tell her future partners before getting married. I am an a-hole, but a necessary a-hole. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for punching my sister's fiancé? I realize that title doesn't sound appealing, but hear me out. I, 32 male, and my wife have an 8-year-old daughter who is phenomenal. I adore her, and she has always enjoyed spending time with my sister. Let's call her Clara, 25. She's engaged to her fiancé, Howard, 27. So my wife and I were planning a trip to Honduras to see her grandmother because she is sadly ill, and her wish was to see her granddaughter, and my wife wanted me to come for support. We want our daughter to come, but she hates planes and refuses to even step foot in an airport. So I asked my sister if she could come and watch her. She said yes, but Howard wasn't too happy about it. So I told them we'd be gone a week, and I'd pay them when we returned. Unfortunately, my wife's grandmother wasn't doing any better, and her health was getting worse. So the only thing keeping my wife happy was our daughter, who we called every day. The first 2 days, she was happy and was saying how much fun she was having with Clara, but then, on the 3rd day, she wasn't very talkative, but we just assumed she was tired. The 4th day, she didn't even answer a FaceTime call, so I called Clara to find out what was going on. She claimed that my daughter was simply exhausted from all the fun they had been having. I didn't really buy it, but I decided to disregard it. Now, on the 5th day, when I called my daughter, we heard yelling, so my wife called her friend Sarah to get our daughter and to get the police involved. We returned right away after explaining the situation to her family, who were very understanding. What had happened was that Howard was yelling while playing Xbox, and it scared our daughter, so she dropped a plate. Howard got upset and told her to clean it up and drag her away from the camera. After we landed, we headed straight to Sarah to see our daughter, and she ran towards us crying and just holding us both. After a while, she let go and explained everything. So around the 3rd day, Howard started yelling at her to clean or be quiet, and he wouldn't let her eat dinner because we spoiled her, and Clara was just letting it happen, telling her that she has to understand if she ever wanted a boyfriend. I was horrified because who says that to an 8-year-old? When the cops arrived, they couldn't do much because everything appeared to be in order. When we arrived at our house, my daughter immediately went to her room while holding my wife's in my hands and said she wanted to sleep with both of us. I kissed her forehead and said I had to take care of some business. She looked sad, but my wife held her and said, "Don't worry, Daddy will be right back." And that's why I love that woman. She always knows what I'm thinking. I drove to Clara's house and knocked on her door. She answered looking surprised, but before she could say anything, I forced my way inside and saw Howard drinking a beer. He looked at me and said, "The EFF you want." I asked him why he treated my daughter that way, and he said that she needed to know how the real world works. When I called him an idiot for even saying that, he got up and walked towards me, thinking I'd be intimidated because he was taller. For context, I'm 5 feet 8 inches and he's 6 feet 2 inches, but I've always been small my entire life, and I never fight fair. So when he tried talking down on me, I punched him in the stomach so hard he actually felt his knees gasping for air. After a little while, he started throwing up. Before I could do anything else, my sister stepped in between us and began yelling at me to get out. But before I left, I told her she was dead to me and they would never see my kid again. The next day, I got so many calls and texts from my family saying I could have handled the situation better. And Howard is in the hospital because he apparently can't breathe correctly. So now I'm wondering if I was in the wrong. My wife and her family say I wasn't at all wrong, but I keep thinking I could have handled the situation better. So now I'm thinking I might be the a-hole. Top comments. Comment 1. Not the a-hole. The guy had it coming. Your sister, unfortunately, is a tool, and Howard is going to use her up and throw her out once he's had enough of her. It's best to stay no contact with her because she won't have your daughter's safety in mind, especially with Howard running her life. Comment 2. Not the a-hole. You should start calling him Howard the Coward from here on out. Comment 3. Absolutely not the a-hole. You are the hero dad every little girl needs. Would I be the a-hole for ghosting my family and fiancé after what my sister did? I was 21 when my fiancé asked me to marry him. He was the absolute light of my life. We had known each other forever. Our families are very close. He would come and have dinner with us on a daily basis and vice versa. He doesn't have any siblings, but I have 2 older sisters, which is very important as he was also very close with them. He helped me deal with a lot of my anxiety, and even when I gained a little weight and my mother berated me saying he was going to leave me, he told her off and said he loved me for who I was, not for what I looked like. We were only engaged for 6 months before the incident. My middle oldest sister, let's call her Nikki, was a very cold person. She only ever opened up to my fiancé, as she said she saw him as a brother, and he also helped her through a lot of her dark times. She and I never saw eye to eye. I loved her dearly because she was my sister, but didn't like her as a person. Out of the blue, she tells me she wants to take me clubbing as we had never been together before, and she felt bad that she was so distant to me. I agreed, and that night we went out. Clubbing wasn't really my style, but once I had a few drinks, I loosened up a little and began having fun. The night was going smoothly until Nikki spotted an attractive guy across the room. She walked over to him, and within a few minutes she was back, and she had a sour expression on her face. I asked her what was up, but she never said anything. I kept pressing because I didn't want our night to be ruined. She then told me the guy didn't want her number, but he wanted mine instead. I told her he was a loser and that there were plenty of guys around who would kill to be with a girl like her. She told me she needed to use the restroom, and then we would leave. I waited for an hour. During this time, I was sipping on a lot of different cocktails. I then started feeling really dizzy and lightheaded. I figured I'd just take a cab home as I was certain Nikki had left. On the way out, I bumped into a guy Nikki had briefly dated. He asked me if I needed a hand in my car, and I explained I was getting a cab. He said he was getting ready to leave, and we could share one. I told him okay, and we walked out of the club together and into the first cab we saw. I tried to find my phone in my purse, but I felt myself getting dizzier and dizzier. I don't remember what happened next as I blacked out, and the next morning I woke up on a hard sofa, my head pounding. When I came to, I realized I was in Nikki's ex's house and my phone was sitting on the glass table in front of me, but it had no battery. When he noticed I was awake, he offered some tablets and water and explained that I'd passed out in the cab, and he didn't remember my parents' address. So he just picked me up and took me back to his place, where he laid me on the sofa. I told him I needed to go home as my fiancé would be worried. He called a cab, and I left. When I arrived at my parents' house, my mother, father, Nikki, my fiancé, and his parents were all standing in the living room. I thought they were worried about me, but the instant I opened my mouth, my fiancé asked how could I do this to him, I tried to explain that my phone went flat, but he then went on screaming about how could I cheat on him. I was baffled. Why would he think that? I tried to explain the night's events, but I kept getting cut off. Nikki then chimed in and said I was a lying slut, and how could I be so heartless to a man who has been there for me through thick and thin? She went on to say I kept flirting with random guys all night, and then when she went to the bathroom, she saw me leave with her friend. I told her what had happened, and she showed me photos on her phone where as we were leaving, his hand was on my back ushering me outside. Yes, the photo did look horrible, and I was so drunk I didn't even realize his hand was on my back at all. My fiancé was so angry. He kept shouting, and his mom and mine were both crying. I then asked Nikki to call her friend, and he would confirm nothing happened, but when she called him, he told a completely different story. He said I begged him to take me back to his, and when he did, we slept together multiple times. I saw red and started crying and yelling at Nikki because I knew she had organized this whole thing to make me look bad. I begged my fiancé to believe me, but he just shook his head and left. When everyone had cleared out, my mother slapped me across the face and told me to get out. I left and went to a friend's house where I stayed for a few nights. During those nights, I called my fiancé, crying and pleading with him to believe me that nothing happened, but it all fell on deaf ears as he never returned any of my calls or texts. My mom texted me and told me she was kicking me out and that she couldn't believe I would do such a thing and call me a lot of hurtful slurs I don't think I could repeat here. She didn't even give me time to get my things as she threw everything out. I was now homeless. None of my family would take me in as they chose my fiancé and mother's side. I was homeless and single in less than a day and a half. My entire world had been taken away because of Nikki's lies. Now for weeks I tried everything to get my fiancé back and my family. The limit for me, though, was when Christmas time came and I went over to my mother's house to try and reconcile. I was sleeping from couch to couch during this time. When I got to my parents' house, I knocked on the door, but no one answered. My friend then called me and told me she just saw on Facebook that my family were in another state celebrating Christmas, and they had posted pictures online. Everyone was there. My sisters, parents, grandparents, and even my fiancé and his family. When I myself saw the photos, I couldn't stop crying as they all looked so happy. I cried for days and days before deciding to block them all. I even returned my engagement ring. My friend knew someone a couple hours away who was looking for some help in his restaurant, and he even had living arrangements above where he worked so I could get rent at a cheap price and work at the same time. I wanted to start over with my life as it hurt me that no one took my side and they all left me to fend for myself. I was able to move pretty quickly and was doing well. The apartment was tiny, and I had to work 10+ hours almost every day, but I was able to save a lot of money. I'm not living in the apartment anymore. I was able to rent a much nicer condo, but I'm still working at the restaurant as an assistant manager. Now it has been roughly 2 years since I left and have not spoken to any of my family. I had no idea what is going with them until I got a knock on my door. It was my ex-fiancé. I was shocked to say the least. All these feelings came rushing back, and all I wanted to do was jump into his arms. But then I remembered the pain I had felt and tried to slam the door in his face, but he stopped it and asked that I let him explain. He said that Nikki had gotten married and she had confessed that she lied about the situation because she had found someone she loved so much and realized what a horrible thing she had done. I asked him how he found me, and he said my friend told him. My entire family had been trying to get in touch with me and want to see me. I told him I needed time to see if I even wanted to have them in my life. He left, and I've been a mess since. I don't know what to do. I know I will never ever forgive Nikki. She could rot for all I cared, but it's hard because my other family and fiancé didn't know she was lying, but I also felt like they abandoned me too quickly without letting me explain my side. I don't know if I should forgive them. Will I be the a-hole if I ghosted them forever? Top comments. Comment 1. You would not be the a-hole. Frankly, I don't think I could forgive your ex-fiancé or your family for abandoning you so quickly based on an incident that didn't even occur. It's all well and good for them to be sorry, but they didn't have to completely reinvent themselves on their own the way you did. I wouldn't be quick to forgive or to forget. Comment 2. You would not be the a-hole. Your ex-fiancé could have considered you were taken advantage of and abused when you were drunk or that you had been drugged. But neither him nor your family had consideration as to whether you were forced to do something against your will. They didn't ask if they should go to the hospital to get a kit done along with preventative care for STDs or to get tested. I understand emotions can run high, but I bet your fiancé knew what kind of person your sister was if he literally helped her through his substance addiction and other issues. For clarity, being an addict isn't the problem, but the person that your sister is an actual problem. There's no way he's not familiar with the type of person she was and what type of friend she might have. He deserves 0 second chances. Comment 3. You would not be the a-hole. You deserve an amazing life, and you need to think carefully about the family and fiancé who dropped you so quickly. Plus, your sister is a psychopath, and that's me being polite. She put you in such a position of danger for her own gain and destroyed your life. I can't believe also, given her past, that your parents would side with her on this. What did you think of these stories? Do you agree with the readers' opinions? Leave your own opinion in the comments, or share if you also have a crazy fiancé story. Don't forget to subscribe. We are a new channel, and we really appreciate your support. We publish stories with new topics multiple times a week. From Reddit Stories Bonanza, we wish you an amazing week.